In this lesson, we patch the membership profile retrieval web app, which has the SQL vulnerability with two techniques. The first one is input validation technique. The other one is parameterized query technique. Remember the first rule in security design pattern A we present in previous lesson. For command injection defense, we observe three sub-patterns. The first one, always validate input before perform any program specific operation after we read the input. Second, we validate the input data using regular expression to detect the malicious string. Third, we exit right away once we detect the malicious string or code. Here we have two input validations if statement right after we read in email and password. We validate the email and password with regular expressions. The email regular expression pattern does not allow the equal sign, the space, and the single quote character to pass through, because as an email, you shouldn't have any of those characters. And therefore, the malicious string we just discussed will be detected by that regular expression matching. And the to branch will be executed. The processing after the printf statement, print out the error message will then exit without further execution. Here we show the validation result. The show me defense pb.php is protected by the effective input validations. Even though the input validation can catch most, if not all, the error, here we apply defend in depth kind of principle by implementing the parameterized SQL query so that we can restrict the query execution further. Here is the idea. We use the question mark symbol to represent each of the parameters in the query. Thus, we limit the number of variable input to the query. Once the query is prepared, the hacker can no longer add any additional expression or query statement into the SQL query. We then use the bind underscore parameter function to bind the parameter with very specific type, either string, number, and the actual variable. We can double check whether the variable contains a value that is exactly the same type. For example, the numerical value we can restrict using I. For double value, we use the symbol of D to represent in the first parameter or bind parameter. S for string and B for blob object. The query processing will detect and enforce this type matching with the value to be submitted. We will use show me defense pb.php, which is a modification of show me.php, in /var/www.html of your clone virtual machine. Line 29, we see the $email variable is replaced by a question mark in the query statement we try to formulate. Line 34, we see bind underscore parameter to bind a string type to the variable, because $email variable is a string type. Line 42, we bind underscore the result using this function to return 4 variables corresponding to very specific column, which we would like to return from the response web page.